What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another day in the shop. Today we're going to work on the head gasket. I'm a little bit nervous about it because I've never done a head gasket or messed with the timing on one of these cars or really a timing belt at all. So it will be a new experience and you guys will get to come along for the journey. So as you guys saw in the last video, I'm having some issues with my flywheel hitting the engine stand. So the first thing we're going to do is get this thing off so that we can get the engine properly mounted and get it to top dead center.
Yeah.
Alright, so here we go. We got the flywheel off, engine's on the stand. Way better. Now I'll be able to rotate the crank, take the timing belt off, mark everything up. I'll show you a little trick that someone taught me. Alrighty, so I believe I have my engine at top dead center. You can see we got the timing mark right here, and we have these two right here lined up. So what you want to do is from this timing mark, you start right here at this rib and you'll count all the way over, count all the ribs until you get to this other timing mark. And this rib right here should be number 39. I just counted mine, it's number 39. The other thing you want to look at, oil pump sprocket is in line with this timing mark right here. You can see those two line up perfectly. The crankshaft timing mark is right here. You can see this little arrow pointing right to this little slot. The last thing you want to do is on your tensioner. I'm using a little piece of wire. Most people use an Allen wrench, but I had this wire and it was the perfect diameter. That goes through there, which goes through the little arm, and then it actually is going through the backside. I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but so that's going to keep that in place so that when I take everything off, this will not move. And then when I go to put it all back together, I should just be able to put it all back together fairly easily. So now this, there's less tension on it. You can see this moves and my little piece of wire is firmly in place, so that's perfect. I'm going to bend this down so that this shouldn't come out. And belt is loose and that will come off. Scary. That's a little scary. Alright, there we go. Our timing belt is off. So now the timing belt is off, it's time to remove the turbo. I am not going to remove the exhaust manifold because I don't need to. But I do have to remove the turbo for two reasons. Number one, so that we can take the head off. And number two, because this turbo is not going back on this car. So, let's go ahead and get that baby taken off. Alrighty guys, so we're back. It's a new day. I took the valve cover off and I started looking at the head bolts and realized I didn't have a 12-point socket. I only had 6-point sockets. So I bought one this morning and now we are going to actually take the head off. So there's really nothing else I have to do in order to pull it, so we're going to go ahead and just loosen all the bolts that are down there and take the head off. I have a piece of cardboard over there, plastic cardboard, waiting for it because if you don't know, you should never set an aluminum head on the ground because you could scratch the surface. So that's where I'm going to put it. It's all nice and clean, basically brand new. So. So here we go. Just got the head off, sitting over there on the floor. Got all my head studs sitting right there on that paper towel. Gonna go ahead and pull this gasket up. and take a little look at it, see if we can see where it was leaking. So here we go, we got the bare block. And get all this nice and cleaned up, and we'll go ahead and reinstall. Alright, so we got everything nice and cleaned up. Went through and cleaned all that crud off the pistons. Everything looks awesome. We are now ready to put the head gasket back on. I did the same thing with the head. It's not staying up by itself, so I'm not going to show you that right now. The instructions for torquing MAP's H11 head studs are to tighten them all in the correct pattern to 65 foot-pounds, and then in 3 steps tighten from 35 to 70 to 105, all same in the sequence. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So now that our new head gasket is installed, the other thing I wanted to do, the old water pump right here, I have a new one. Just painted it chrome to match the water pipe. Looks pretty good actually. So I'm gonna go ahead and install that. In order to do that, I have to take off the tensioner as well as this pulley, and then I can take the water pump off. So let's go ahead and do that. This bolt is already loose from when we took the timing belt off. The tensioner has two 12mm bolts. And then this little arm, whatever it's called, also has a 12mm bolt. So from here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 12mm bolts that hold the water pump on. Okay, so I just got the gasket scraped off. The surface all nice and clean, ready for a new gasket. The Gates water pump comes with a new gasket as well as a new rubber seal for the water pipe. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that guy off and install my new gaskets and seals. So I ended up taking the water pipe off, it's down there, in order to get this in a little bit easier. New water pump is on, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the water pipe back on, and then we'll reinstall the timing stuff. Alright, well there we go. New water pump installed. That looks so much better than the other one. Notice that there's RTV on these bolts for the tensioner, so I don't have any RTV with me, so I'm not going to tighten these. I'm going to tighten all this back up when I put the timing belt back on. So that's going to be it for that job. So as far as this video goes, that's pretty much all that I have. I did, off camera, install my 3G master cylinder and brake booster. That went in there really nicely. I'll show you. Here we have it right here. So it's all installed. I'm still trying to decide if I want to keep my reservoir here or remount it back with the old one, because you can still put the old one on there. The last thing I'm gonna do before I leave today is take my brake lines off, because they need to be reflared for the 3G master cylinder. That is all that we have time for in this video. So I thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. I hope that maybe you learned something, because I know I did. That was an interesting job. It wasn't really all that bad, and the timing is not as hard as I thought it was, so that's cool. I'm happy about that. In the next video, we will be putting that back together and continuing to work on the rest of the car. I should have my transmission stuff back in the next week or two. The next project will probably be the CTSV brakes, which I know that we are all excited for. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't already, hit that like button, leave a comment. I appreciate it. It helps the channel. So, thank you, and I will see you in the next one.